Chào mừng quý vị và các bạn đến với chương trình Tôi và Việt Nam trên kênh truyền hình FBNC. Thưa quý vị, vào năm 2015 thì cộng đồng kinh tế ASEAN sẽ được thành lập và khối ASEAN AAC 2015 được trông đợi sẽ mang lại rất nhiều cơ hội về kinh doanh, đầu tư, về trao đổi hàng hóa giữa các nước thành viên. Và điều đó đặt ra một nhu cầu về hệ thống pháp luật tài chính giữa các nước thành viên ASEAN. Và đó cũng chính là chủ đề mà giáo sư Martin Young của Đại học Massey, New Zealand, một người có nhiều năm kinh nghiệm nghiên cứu trong lĩnh vực hệ thống pháp luật tài chính của các khối ASEAN, đã trình bày tại một buổi hội thảo cho học viên của Viện Đào tạo Quốc tế Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh trong những ngày vừa qua. Và nhân chuyến đến Việt Nam lần này, giáo sư Martin Young cũng đã có buổi chia sẻ với kênh truyền hình FBNC về chủ đề cải thiện hệ thống hợp tác về pháp luật tài chính giữa các nước thành viên trong khối ASEAN. Mời quý vị cùng theo dõi sau đây. Professor Young, thank you so much for your time. Thank you. So you came to Vietnam this time to talk about financial regulatory cooperation in Asia. Why is that topic?
I think it's a very important topic at the moment. I think one of the important things to remember is that, it's basically driven through ASEAN, but ASEAN plus 2, ASEAN plus 6. There's going to be a much more integrated and open marketplace starting in 2015. And I think with that much freer trade comes a need for much better integration in terms of financial markets.
So with that ASEAN Economic Community, AEC, in 2015, what's kind of impact that is going to cause on the, let's say, the financial regulations of the region?
Well, first of all, you're naturally going to get more integration. And with that, you're going to get more capital flows, you're going to get more cross-regional investment. And it's very important that there's what I would call a level playing field between the countries of ASEAN plus 6, that we have a regulatory environment which is understood by all, is sound, accepted by all. That is important.
But we are, as Asia or ASEAN, which is the 10 members, we are too much diversified. We are different from each other. Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia. So what would be the biggest challenges in terms of improving the financial regulatory cooperation between the members of Asia?
Now, unquestionably, it's very diversified. The diversification, say, between Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, etc., is very substantial. I think in terms of a financial regulatory environment, that doesn't need to be too much of a problem. I think if you have the same basic goals, what's important is aiming for best practice. And you can have best practice if you're Indonesia or if you're Singapore or whoever. I don't think that makes really much difference. I think within ASEAN and within ASEAN plus 6, definitely we should be looking to best practice. I would argue that probably a good country to start, if you think of ASEAN plus 6, would be somewhere like Australia. I think their financial regulatory system is excellent and really can be seen as a standard that others should aim to emulate. I think Australia has put a huge effort into ensuring that their financial regulatory system is as sound as they can get it. I think Australia sees itself as, particularly at Sydney, an important financial centre, and I think helping to grow Australia as a financial centre, they've needed to have very high quality financial regulation, which they unquestionably have. There's other good examples. I think Singapore's another good example, but if I was to name one, I would probably put Australia at the forefront.
Okay. So a lot of people talk about the possibility of Asia to have a common currency. What is your argument on that?
That would be the last thing I would do.
Why?
I think before you have a common currency, you have to have a very, very high level of integration across all facets of the economy. If you think of the EU, the EU started basically as a free trade zone. And we're sort of just getting to that point with ASEAN +6. Hopefully in 2015 we'll be close to that. But that's really the first step. After that you need to have free movement of capital, free movement of labour. You have to have a high level of integration. The problem with the single currency, as we've seen in the EU, is that if you have economies which are basically out of sync with each other, you can very, very quickly have a serious issue. From the viewpoint of Greece, Spain, Portugal at the moment, the euro is far too expensive. From the viewpoint of Germany, it's probably far too cheap, and they're doing reasonably well at the moment. But you can't change the value of this currency for one country as opposed to another without having your own independent currencies. So, the diversity in Europe is fairly substantial. The diversity here in Asia is much greater. I think any thought of a single currency would be a recipe for disaster. That to me is the last thing you do as you integrate economies.
But I'm just curious, having a single currency, would that make the task of improving the financial regulatory cooperation a bit less challenging?
No, I just can't see how that would help.
Okay, so this doesn't have any impact.
Adding a more complicated dimension to the whole system.
Và những chia sẻ vừa rồi của giáo sư Martin Young đến từ Đại học Massey, New Zealand trong buổi hội thảo tại Viện Đào tạo Quốc tế của Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh về chủ đề cải thiện sự hợp tác trong hệ thống pháp luật tài chính giữa các nước thành viên ASEAN cũng đã khép lại phần 1 của chương trình Tôi và Việt Nam ngày hôm nay. Quý vị có thể xem lại đoạn phỏng vấn này trên website fpnc.vn hoặc là góp ý và phản hồi cho chúng tôi vào trang facebook.com/MC Trần Quốc Khánh. Chúng tôi sẽ còn quay trở lại trong một phút nữa.